I've heard some people talk about the fact that China's fundamental structure will probably prevent them, in terms of the Chinese Communist Party I'm talking about, will probably prevent the CCP from proposing or agreeing to any deal that the Trump White House might deem acceptable. What do you make of that? I mean, how much room does the CCP have here to actually negotiate a deal that the White House might look at and say, yeah, we can accept that?
Yeah, I think there's very little room to maneuver. And the reason is that China's predatory trade policies and its criminal acts, they're inherent in the nature of the Communist Party's system. These are the things that have got us upset about China in the first place. These are the things that Beijing cannot negotiate away. The other thing here is that Xi Jinping has configured the Chinese political system so that only the most hostile answers are considered acceptable. So the economically rational thing for Xi Jinping to do is to pick up the phone, call Trump, and sort of make a lot of concessions to get a deal. I mean, he can make concessions. Xi Jinping can make concessions and say, I'm never going to honor them. But that would be the rational thing to do, to get Trump to say yes to something. Mm-hmm. But Xi can't pick up the phone. And that's because he's boxed himself in. This is a very bad situation for China.
What do you mean by, I mean, if you could clarify that a little bit, when you say that only the most hostile responses are acceptable, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Xi Jinping has declared the U.S. to be China's enemy. They did that in May 2019 with a landmark editorial in People's Daily, which declared a quote-unquote people's war on us. That is a phrase which has great resonance in Communist Party history. It's total war. So if you believe that you're in total war with an enemy, that you're in an existential struggle, how can you make concessions to that enemy? Your position is you've got to defeat them. You've got to destroy them. You can't sort of make nice to them. You can't make big agreements with them. So I think that Xi Jinping has now sort of put himself in a position where he is only going to accept something where it's clear that the United States has submitted, has gotten on its knees and begged China for an agreement. I don't see Trump doing that. And so this is going to be very, very difficult for the Chinese regime. And, we have to understand the regime may not survive this.
Really? There's a soundbite that I think might get clipped out. Talk to me about that. I mean, from a timeline, I know this is a tough thing to because there's so many elements here to take into account, but from a timing perspective, at the current rate, at the tariff rate that has been set now for China, I mean, what are we talking about? If you're thinking about a breaking point, how long can they sustain that sort of back and forth in a trade war?
I've been wrong on timing before, so I'm probably the worst person to ask that question. But I don't think that they can sustain it for too much longer. And there's a couple of reasons. Xi Jinping, because he's turned his back on consumption as being the fundamental basis of the Chinese economy, there's only one way out to rescue an increasingly grim situation, and that is to export more. China's not growing at the 5.0% pace reported for last year. It may not even be growing at all. But we know the trend is down because we can see price signals that who scream deflation. But even if China were growing at 5.0, it probably wouldn't be growing fast enough for those guys to pay back debt. China not only has a problem with Trump at this moment, China not only has a problem with an economy that looks like it's contracting, China has now its 2008. In 2008, they did not want to suffer a recession. So they overstimulated their economy, they piled on the debt, and now that debt is just too heavy. So you've got all of these crises hitting at the same time. And so Xi Jinping, who a couple months ago, he looked like he was going to rule the world, right now, he's going to be lucky just to wake up alive in the morning.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.